Hi there, Neil here with day 37 of my small business marketing tips video series. We're still talking about social media and today we are talking about Twitter. Today's tip is create a Twitter account. I've got to openly admit that I am a relatively late adopter of Twitter. For many years I couldn't really see the point. I just thought it was, people oversharing stuff that I wasn't particularly interested in. I'm not a great one for celebrity culture and all that. I'm not particularly interested in what someone's had for tea. And certainly from a business perspective, I wasn't convinced. But within the last 18 months, I've jumped on board with Twitter. Partially because of a change in businesses, and I think it's okay. Not going to say I think it's my favourite social media platform, but I think there are things about Twitter which I quite like. I'll perhaps talk about it more tomorrow than today, but I think there are some quite exciting ways that you can use Twitter. And I think now that I have sort of jumped on board, I think not to be involved with Twitter is potentially a shortcoming. So sign yourself up to a Twitter account. I would suggest, as it is more a mobile and tablet-y sort of platform, you do so using an app on your mobile and tablet rather than your PC. Just it seems to work better that way. Obviously there is a website and you can sign up that way, but to me it just seems a little bit clunkier. So I would go to your Apple Store or your Android Play Store and download the app and sign up that way. I would say it's pretty straightforward. You can do it with an email address or your phone number, and it's quite a simple process. Twitter is one of those where you can have multiple accounts. You can have a separate account for your business if you want. My advice would probably be not to, unless you are speaking very specifically about certain things to your friends and family group, and specifically very different things to your business followers. So get yourself set up, and then unfortunately it's a bit of a ball ache, but one of the first things you're going to have to do with Twitter is probably spend a little bit of time trying to get people to follow you, and perhaps the best way to do that is to follow people and hope that they then follow you back. So it is going to require some time for you to do that. What I suggest you do is obviously start with people you know, whether they're friends or whether they're business connections. You can easily search and see if they're on Twitter and follow them. It's not like LinkedIn where you can send a connection request. Essentially, you are left to follow them and then leave it in their hands as to whether they want to follow you back. So it's a case of following lots of people. So have a look at businesses that are in your sector who your sort of customers might follow. Have a look at your direct competitors, any business groups, if there's sort of networking organizations. I know that, for example, 4N have groups on Twitter, and you can sort of go in there and have a look at who's joined their groups, and you can follow them. Chamber of Commerce, similarly, you can go down and see who follows your local Chamber of Commerce and send off lots of requests to follow people there. So you are probably going to have to spend a little bit of time laboriously trying to follow lots of people in the hope that they follow you back. I'm no great expert on these things, but I understand Twitter, like the number of followers you have and the number of people you're following, to be broadly similar. So they don't like you having very few followers yourself but following loads and loads of people. They like you to be quite balanced. So if you do go off following loads of people, then at some point, unless you get lots and lots of followers back, you might have to do a bit of a cull. I personally haven't had any, Twitter coming down on me and saying you're following too many people or anything like that, but I have heard that that's what they prefer anyway. Obviously with Twitter, people will only see what you're putting out if they are following you, or if you're using particular hashtags that they're wanting to pick up. So it is necessary for you to attract followers. And then when you've got a certain number of followers, then there's going to be a little bit of critical mass, and that in itself will help followers just to find you and connect. And it's all about the content that you put out. Twitter's one of those things, because it is very instant and immediate. You probably will need to be posting or tweeting more often on Twitter than you would, say, on Facebook. Depending on who you believe, people say you should be tweeting 3 or 4 times a day, something like that, because it is a very sort of transient feed that you get. So as with the previous recommendations, when you're setting up your Twitter account, see if you can be consistent with whatever your Twitter name is, so that there's consistency across all the social media platforms. The closer you can be, the better to what you've got elsewhere. So it's not a lengthy or time-consuming process. I would set your account up, and first task, really, having done that, is go off trying to attract lots of followers. And to do that, you need to start following people who you think might be relevant, or people who might be talking to or connected to the sort of people you want. Of course, you can follow people you like in sport or the media or what have you. There's no harm in following them as well, just so that you get to see what they're tweeting about. So I would potentially do a mix of things you might be interested to see, but also followers who you might want to get yourself. So that's it from me today, as someone who's relatively recently joined Twitter and started tweeting in a reasonably consistent way. You should find it quite an easy thing to do to get your account set up. So if you do that, then tomorrow I'll talk to you a little bit about what to do next on Twitter. Thank you very much. Hope you've enjoyed it today. Thanks. Bye.